Hello and welcome to Card Shop Insiders, a podcast where we bring together decades of experience from both sides of the counter to take you inside the business of local game stores and collectible gaming hobby. I'm Noah and I play games, lots of them.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a card shop owner and veteran of the industry.
With our combined perspectives, we're ready to take you inside. So let's go ahead and jump in. John, how's it going this week?
It's not too bad. This week is all right. I mean, the weekend sucked, but that's beside the point. It was Mother's Day weekend, basically. So that held attendance down a little bit. By the way, how was Mother's Day on your end? Did your wife and mother have a good Mother's Day?
I think they did. We got to play some Lorcana at my house, so I think everybody's happy.
Well, that sounds good. Go ahead.
Well, speaking of Lorcana, why don't we talk about some of the news coming up? This is a set release week, so why don't we briefly go over what it looks like for the shop on a set release week, John?
Well, I just got finished ordering the product, or not ordering, but authorizing it to be shipped. It was ready to be shipped on Friday, but Ravensburger would not allow it to be shipped until Monday, so it'll be shipped today. And it'll arrive here on Wednesday, but I can't sell it, so don't beg me for it. It will not sell until Friday. That's the official release day.
Absolutely. We'd never do anything that they don't officially authorize.
Of course not, Noah. You know better than that.
Have you heard any discussion from the folks about what people think on this set coming out for Lorcana?
I think they're excited about it. Everybody's getting ready to go down to Atlanta in 2 weeks also, but the new set cannot be used in the event down in Atlanta. But they're still interested in the set. I think there's a lot of hype about it. So I think it'll bring back more people that have left for a while and they're waiting for new stuff to come out.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. The spoilers have all gone up on the internet. Everything looks good for the set. There's going to be some fun new deck options. There's going to be a change to competitive play, obviously, but probably not until after those Atlanta event. People are going to need to play set 3 and earlier for Atlanta, so I think a lot of the competitive play is still focused on that.
Yeah, we're going to do a kind of like a pre-release. I'm kind of surprised that Lorcana does not have pre-release package kits yet, similar to what Magic does. So we're going to do some type of a pre-release. I haven't really decided that as far as how much I'm going to charge or what I'm going to use, as far as enticements to get people to come in. But I know a couple of stores are doing them and they're using 3 packs. You pay $40, you get a starter deck, you get 3 packs, and you got to play all 3 rounds in order to get those other 3 packs. Otherwise, they're going to forfeit it. That's at least one store is doing it. I'm not sure. I think $40 is a little bit steep, especially, for somebody like you that comes in with your 2 kids and your wife, unless you have deep pockets this week. But I'm going to try to cut it down a little bit. Maybe, a starter deck at random and 1 or 2 packs. Keep it in at least a $30 range or under $30. I think that's more reasonable.
Yeah, I think the format sounds cool. I would like to do something like that where it's an organized release weekend event, but I understand cost and things like that. I think we talked about the sealed option. I like the starter decks. The starter decks from this set are pretty cool. The disappointing thing about the starter decks, I think, is that they have new stuff and old stuff. And so, getting a playset of cards I've already got 20 of is not exciting to me. But I'm already investing in multiple starter decks anyway because my family likes to play the starter decks against each other. So,
especially if you played it on Mother's Day. I mean, that's what you do at home. Did you ever finish your entertainment center yet?
No, not yet. What else do we have coming out?
Well, I just saw on your sheet here, new releases, promos for Set 4 store championships are hot. I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
What's the scoop on that?
Well, the Enchanted Rockstar Stitch that we really wanted to play for, and I was fortunate enough to win one. The Ursula card that they have released the art for is awesome. And there's an argument that the playmat that they're releasing with the store championships is better than the card.
Oh, really?
Like, the playmat looks so good.
So that means it looks like every set they're going to have a store championship.
I believe that's the plan.
That's good. That's going to bring in a lot of people because those cards and those playmats are highly sought after.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good, and it's going to set up another exciting opportunity for people to play. We had a great time at our set championship. The folks that have produced content on the internet got to play in multiples and talked about great experiences playing in all those. So I think that we've got a great opportunity with this game and with this idea that there's a special card and a special playmat. I think it's going to be great, and I think people are really excited for it.
Good. Next on the list is Star Wars Set Championships. Go ahead, you can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week, but we did get confirmation from you that you've been authorized for a set championship. It's got a different name. It's It's not set
It
championship.
is. If you look down the damn list, it's Store Showdown.
There we go. Yeah, the store showdown is going to be set. Ours is going to be in June 15th. The promos for that, we talked about this last week. They're stamped. There's a top 8, there's a top 4, and then there's a champion runner-up. They're all Mace Windu with alternate art and extended border, but very cool. I think if you're comparing the 2 new games, they both have some things that are going well for them. I think the store showdown that Star Wars has put together is going to be really good. I think it's going to be really popular. And I think these cards that they're putting out are awesome. I think the promo art on the Lorcana ones are a little bit better. And I think that the playmats are really cool. There's no playmat with this. There are lots of promos where you only got the one promo for placing in the top 4.
And what they did with Star Wars is they provided a judge promo, whereby Lorcana has not had a judge promo.
I think that's a big deal too. Being able to support the people that are supporting the tournament is something that's really good. It makes it a lot easier for you to get somebody to help manage the game and know the rules than have to have you learn every single game that's going on in the store.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to run it again on Saturday, June 15th. And I haven't set up the time or entry fee yet. I know we have other people that are listening to this podcast that won't be able to attend because they live someplace else far away. But our local people, I'll let them know through the newsletter that, I send out every week.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about the other games that we sell in store? Magic's got some big releases coming up, right?
Big and expensive. Modern Horizons 3, it's ridiculously expensive. Some stores are doing pre-releases at $65 a person. I'm going to try to keep it down to $50. That's one of the things I forgot to talk to my sales rep about, if there's going to be any prize support from Wizards, but I don't know yet. So I'll come up with a price and post that too. But it's expensive. I mean, they're coming out with allocated product. For instance, the Magic Collector's Commander set. They're selling online per deck for like $170. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're expensive. And we're going to be allocated. Supposedly, because we've done drafts prior to, the event or them allocating it, we're supposed to get at least one of each deck, a set of 4. I thought it was a set or a complete set of 4. For the, like 4 boxes of it. No, it's 4 decks. And in talking to my sales rep, he says, no, he said it's 4 individual decks that you're guaranteed. And he said it's really highly allocated and it's expensive. And that's all I can say.
The expensive stuff is not bad for the store.
It's not bad for the store if people buy the damn thing because it's going to price themselves out. That's the problem. And I noticed as we get into the other game, the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Rarities collection, they're all foil. They're all rares in the set. And I don't know how many cards per pack, but there's 18 packs per box. And they're $10, $9.99 MSRP per pack.
Wow.
Yeah, that's expensive because Yu-Gi-Oh! Normally is in the $4.99 to $4.49 range. That's what I sell it at. And I have people salivating for it already. They want the product. Now, I had screwed up. I admit I had only ordered 8 boxes of this stuff. And I texted my backup sales rep this morning, and she's with another company, Peach State, which are really good. And I was texting her while I was laying in bed, just getting out of bed this morning. Hey, do you have any of the rarities that you can give me? And I said, I'd like to get a case. So immediately she got back to me. She was up at 8 o'clock and working. She said, yeah, I can get a case for you, which is good because a lot of other distributors only order what they think they could sell and they don't have any extras. Peach State always seems like they hold back a couple of extras for people like me that screw up or use them as a secondary source.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you've been able to sort out that stocking issue with that. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an interesting product. I mean, I think we've talked about it before. It sells out fast in the store and you've got a good group of people here that really support the game in the store. So I think that's a cool product. It reminds me of a few years ago when they started to do the collector's boosters for Magic. And you and I had a conversation about how people were going to pay $20 to $30 a pack for the stuff. And then it started coming in and you keep selling out of it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think that's why people are holding back their money a little bit because they're anticipating what's coming out and they want this and they want that. And again, it gets back to how much money a person has.
Yeah.
And if they're smart, they're not going to go into debt and speculate and say, hey, I want to buy a couple of cases of this stuff and hoping that it's going to triple in value because sometimes it doesn't happen.
No, and the individual cards are hard to pull from the packs. You're not getting the value back as a guarantee, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility that you're not going to get it. All right, I see next on your list, you got Pokemon NAIC. What the hell is that?
That's the North American International Championship Tournament is in LA. It reminded me actually, and one thing I thought we'd talk about real quick is how the bigger competitive scene affects these games and how they play. But I was a little surprised that both of the United States Lorcana events are like to the eastern side of the country. I mean, we've got Chicago and then we've got Atlanta in just a couple of weeks. I was really kind of surprised there's not a West Coast tournament in LA or anything like that.
Maybe not yet. With all games, it seems like there's pockets of higher activity. I know, for instance, this area in North Carolina, South Carolina, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really popular. Every time there's a big event, all the locals go to all these big events and, they'll go up to Richmond or they'll go down to Greenville, South Carolina to play. And, they travel all over the place. So I think it's just a segmented thing. And I believe it's just going to be a matter of time before it goes out to the West Coast.
Yeah, I think that tournament for Pokemon is supposed to be really big. It might set a new record for attendance for an in-person Pokemon event. Of course, the Pokemon tournaments include more than just TCG, but I think it'll have the TCG record this weekend, or not this weekend, 3 weeks out in LA.
You kind of surprised me the other day when you mentioned about the Atlanta tournament. Now, I know Atlanta originally had a capacity of 512, and then because of the demand, they pushed it up 4 times, so it was over 2,000. But you have mentioned that you saw someplace that actual people that applied for it already is only in the 1,500 range. I mean, only. That's still a big event, but it didn't reach capacity yet. Any updates on that?
Not that I've seen. I was going to try to pull it up real quick, but I think that what I saw the other day was around 1,600, and I was surprised. I thought it was sold out, but maybe people just didn't buy in. I don't know. I mean, I know the registration originally was through like Eventbrite or something, and then they've had people registering into Melee. So I wonder if it is just a matter of getting people pulled across.
That's probably true. I mean, I'm sure they'll have a lot of walk-ins going down there too.
Yeah, and they're also selling floor badges. So if you're not a player in the tournament, you have to buy a badge to get in. I think that's pretty normal for these really large events.
They won't lose money, that's for damn sure.
No, I don't think so.
They're going to make money, but they're not losing it.
Well, John, tell me about this other thing here on the news real quick before we wrap up. You've got a cardboard shortage?
Well, we had a cardboard shortage. I wrote it down prior to speaking to my sales rep this morning. They were able to get some more cardboard, 1,600 count boxes and 800 count boxes and things like that. And they were out a couple of weeks ago because they make their own. They have a cardboard company that they deal with who die cuts the product to their specifications. And what I said here is out of stock with 2 distributors. In texting back and forth with my sales rep from Peach State, I asked her about it and she says, no, we're completely out. Now I know they have BCW product and that's where they get their stuff from. And I said, is it just a cardboard shortage? She says, no. She said, we're building a new warehouse and it's going to be 4 times the size of our existing warehouse. That's up in New Jersey. And she said, it's not open yet and we've cut back on the ordering, so we don't have to move all that stuff from the existing warehouse into the new one. And she said it's been delayed because of county permit issues and the storage racks. Mm-hmm. Evidently, I don't know what the hell they did. She didn't go into it, but they need racks. They need storage space for it. And evidently, the racking company is dragging their heels a little bit. So It's like a snowball effect. It happens. In other words, I couldn't get boxes from her. She didn't have them. Yeah. And fortunately, Southern Hobby did this morning. So I'm getting boxes coming in.
Well, that's good because we're going to need more storage boxes for those new sets coming out.
This is true.
John, I pulled it up while you were talking there. There are 1,748 out of the 2,048 slots filled for the Lorcana Challenge event.
So there's 300 more. Good. That's good.
But it's set up as an invitation only because you had to register through the Eventbrite link and they should be sending codes. So maybe some of the delay is people just not signing in and checking off their Melee registration.
Oh, I had asked also about news. Peach State is as I mentioned before, my backup, one of my backups. And I asked my sales rep this morning, what's the product that everybody wants for Lorcana that I got allocated only 4 of that you wanted? I forgot what the hell they call it. Oh, it's not the Trove, it's the other thing.
No, the new thing. It's the Ursula's Adventure or whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever it's called. And she said, no, I don't have any extras. It got distributed or allocated to OP stores only. So they didn't have any extras. They have to take care of their OP stores. Just like Southern Hobby, because I'm an OP store registered with them, they have to take care of me. They were allocated me and Pete's State got allocated also for their OP stores. So
Hmm.
there's none extra. And it's because they add, as I said last week, they added 600 new stores. So
I mean, that's just nuts to
it
me
is.
that they didn't produce enough of that product for people to be able to take it home.
I agree.
But,
I agree.
it's going to sell it again, and it's going to validate to them that they've got a high demand product. So until they decide they want to print a little bit more, we're going to keep
I
doing
think
this.
they're overwhelmed. I really do believe that because it's a new venture for them. It's their first card game, and it hit like crazy. And I just think they're overwhelmed. I did find out something else too at the D23 convention in Anaheim this year, which
Yeah.
is the Disney collectors convention. Ravensburger is going to be there. It's going to be very interesting to see if they offer a special product for those D23 members.
They did last time.
They did, I know, and those cards are still selling. I think a group that are graded are selling for like $14,000. It's nuts. It'd be interesting to see if they're going to come up with something for the D23.
Well, they've got Gen Con coming at the end of the summer too, so we'll see what they pull out for that.
Yep. I think it's going to be like, well, it won't be as bad as last year where they have everybody swarming the doors. I think Gen Con's going to be a little bit better paired for it this time because last time they weren't. And unfortunately, I think 6 to 8 people got hurt. They had to be taken to the hospital. You can see the videos online of people swarming the doors. It was crazy.
It was crazy. All right, John, well, let's jump over and talk about our main topic today. I think that's enough of the news. I think we covered the major things people need to hear and know about. But for this week, as far as getting inside the business of the card shop, we wanted to talk about loyalty programs and customer loyalty and customer rewards. Tell us a little bit about how your shop does it, and then we can talk about some of the other options.
Well, I've been using a company by the name of Preferred Patron, and I've used them probably 8 to 10 years now. And I looked at some of the other programs that are available. They were a little bit more expensive at the time, and they just didn't suit my needs. So I discovered Preferred Patron. And when I signed up for them, naturally you get a sales rep saying, hey, this is this and this is that. And you get, all the good stuff. I'm going to put you in touch with the tech who's actually going to set you up. And his name is Matt, and he's great person. Anytime I have a question, I call him up, and he can remotely get into the program and set things up for me, which he's done numerous times. And we've had to make tweaks in the program along the way. And I think I have it to the point right now where it's advantageous to the customer and it's naturally advantageous to me. One of the biggest things that I derive from this program is when you sign up for the loyalties rewards, you sign up using your email. So that captures your email. And I have the ability to write up a newsletter, which I happen to call the Info Blast, every Monday, sometimes Tuesday, if I get lazy. And it's automatic. It gets sent out through Preferred Patron. So it's an easy program to use. And I have a desktop tablet that somebody can come in and they can sign up for it, or they can check how many points they have. And the way it works is you get a point for every dollar you spend in the store, not including sales tax nor tournament fees. And I used to do tournament fees at one time, but it got a little bit complicated because that's not actually what you're spending. So I just said to hell with it. I'm not doing tournament fees anymore. Everybody understands that. So if you come in and you have 4 people and you do $40 in store tournaments and your total is $80 not including tax, you're going to get 40 points. And it starts at, you get 25 points for signing up automatically. And then when you get to 35 points, you get $1 off. You get to, I think, 70 points, you get $3 off, and so forth and so on. All the way up to, if you get to 500 points, you get $25 off, which most people, if they're smart, will use that. I've had a lot of people use 35 points just to get a drink, which is a waste of their points. And I had to cap it at 600 points. One time it was unlimited. And I had one guy that got up to 1,000 points. And he would want to use them multiple times during the day. And Matt at Preferred Patron set it up to it's 600 points is capped now. And you can only use points once a day. And that protects me too. And I believe the point system is a fair system for everybody, and that's why I did it. Because somebody would come in and say, well, I'm a teacher. Do I get a discount? Sign up for the loyalties rewards program. It makes it consistent. And that's what I was looking for, consistency. I know some stores, if you get to a dollar amount, they'll take 10% off. That was just too much too much trouble, because then it actually gets to the point where you could screw up the system purposely. If you like somebody, if you didn't like somebody, you could screw the system up. This is right in front of them. As soon as they make a purchase, they get an email saying, hey, your points are now 235. And I've had a couple people say, hey, did you forget to put my points in? Yeah, I did. At the end of the day, I put their points into especially if it's busy.
Yeah, so it's a manual point entry for you.
Right.
And to manage that, sometimes you have to write it down and put it all in after everybody leaves.
Yep.
Okay. So what other options have you or would you consider for customer loyalty? I guess right now on the table, we've got no customer loyalty and preferred patron points per dollar.
Again, there's other companies, 5-star. I see you put down Kangaroo. I don't even know what the hell Kangaroo is. I haven't looked at anybody else.
Now, these were all similar options. So these are all like kind of loyalty platforms that have different ways to manage points.
Some stores have their own. They write their own software. They have people who are intelligent enough to do this. I'm not. And they write their own programs in conjunction with their database and so forth. But, this is a canned program. I pay each month. I get the tablet. It's perfect for my needs.
Mm-hmm.
And once it works, I'm not switching it.
Well, it's not something that I've seen at a lot of other places. I mean, I buy cards from stores for 30 years, and you're the only one that's ever offered to let me put my email address in and accrue points. So, I mean, I think it's sort of unique. Why do you think that it gives value to your customers?
It makes them feel like they're worth something. Their business is not worth something, but their business is valued. A lot of times somebody will come in and say, hey, I just bought this deck at Walmart and I paid $50 for it. I said, well, I had the same thing, but you didn't get any points at Walmart. And they look at me and say, oh, yeah, you're right. They could have gotten 50 points, which would have been, a couple bucks at least off on their next purchase. And yeah, you're right. I think I'm the only one around here that runs a consistent, dedicated program that people can rely on. And they get the emails every week and they see their point totals with the newsletter, and it tells them how much they can get off. And I get a lot of repeat business from that. Well, after a year, however, they go inactive. And I've had people come back and say, do I have any points in my account? So I look it up and I said, you do, however, you're inactive. And that's why you're not getting the newsletter anymore. So what I do is I can go into the program and make them active again, and they don't lose any points. Their points are consistent. It stays there. It doesn't get lost. I do use the points sometimes to help somebody out. For instance, if somebody has 480 points, all right, another 20 points will get them $25 off once they get to 500. And at that $480, they'll only get $15 off. They have to use 350 points to get that 15. I said, look, you're a regular customer of mine. I value your business. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 20 points to your account, which I do automatic, get them up to the 500. And then when I give them points back, I take that 20 points off. A lot of people, I do that for if they don't hassle me, don't give me a whole bunch of crap, and they're nice customers. Other people, no, I wouldn't do that, because they're obnoxious and I just won't do it.
So, I mean, again, we've had a couple conversations about the store, and a lot of what you do has to do with trying to please your customers and also provide value to your customers. What are some other ways that people might be able to give value or reward loyalty in a store?
Well, for instance, yesterday, slow day, I had 4 people come in to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I said to the guys, all right, guys, for making the effort to come here today, you're going to have a free tournament. I gave out the prizes just like I normally would, and it was free for the day. And a lot of times for loyalties, if somebody comes in and plays Commander, for instance, and I know they couldn't make the Commander event last week where they had these special promos, if I have any special promos left over, I'll give them the promo because I know they would have been here if they could. You have to reward people coming back and your loyal customers because that's what keeps them coming back. You have to appreciate them. Without them, the business is extinct. It's done.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. And you've talked before about knowing your customers, getting to know them personally, or remembering people that are coming into the store. Now we're talking about rewarding people for shopping in the store. But I think it goes back to what you've said. It's all about who you can get in the room and getting people to come back into the room where they'll spend more money and they'll be able to engage and play. Sure, the store operates around the idea of playing a game, but the game requires the supplies, the cards, and then some other people. And this shop provides a place, an opportunity for people to gather to play the game. And then for you, in order to make the money and stay profitable, you have people purchasing the things in the store and making it a smooth event for people, giving them a little bit of an incentive to shop at your store, to play at your store, I think can make a big difference in the long run.
I'll give you another example. Star Wars. There's a limited supply out there right now. We got 5 boxes the other day as part of this showdown thing that we're going to be doing. And the supply that we have has to last until July when the new set comes out. So what I said to myself is, I'm going to allow my regular customers, people who support the game, that come in every week to play weekly play, I'm going to allow them 3 packs while supplies last. Eventually, I'll have to cut that off. Next week, I might say, you can get 2 packs. Then it may be 1 pack. But I'm reserving that only for my customers. And I've done it with Lorcana. And I'm going to still do it with Lorcana if we get into a stock shortage situation, only to those customers that come in to play in my weekly events. And that's an incentive for people to come into the store. They know I'm going to protect them. That's something that I feel I'm obligated to do. And I think I mentioned this at one time in another podcast.
Yeah. Well, John, I think that's a good place to wrap up our main topic for the day. Why don't we jump over and talk about our 3 E's?
Hopefully we entertained you. Hopefully we enlightened you a little bit. Now I'm going to educate you. This is kind of funny.
I saw this one.
You saw this one?
Yeah.
Headline: Woman found living in Michigan grocery store sign, complete with computer and Keurig coffee maker for months. And essentially, this woman was living in the rooftop sign of a grocery store. It's called Family Fare out in Midland, Michigan. And she had been living in it for about a year until she was discovered. There was workers on the roof that discovered, evidently, the bottom of the sign, the base of the sign, had a little room of some sort. And she had, her living space contained flooring, a computer, a desk, a printer, a Keurig, and a pantry full of food. And it was approximately 10 to 15 feet long, 5 feet wide, and 8 feet at its highest point. I was wondering, how the hell does she get electricity to run these other things?
Yeah.
So after she was caught, they didn't do anything to her except they trespassed her so she couldn't go in there again. And they offered her, she was homeless, obviously, and they offered her another place to live, which she declined. And she just went off on her merry way. However, police couldn't find out how the hell she got up on the roof because there was no ladder or no immediate access. I don't know, maybe she was Spider-Woman or something. Is there a Spider-Woman? Or I know Supergirl. How the hell did she get up on the roof?
I'm not sure. I didn't see a definitive answer to that. What I saw was that she had a power cord that she had run. That was what got her caught.
Oh, really?
Somebody saw the extension cord.
Okay.
And they were like, why is there an extension cord going into that sign?
That's
so
they
looked into it and found her in the sign. Well, they found her stuff in the sign, I think. Yeah, I guess she had the story I read said she had a remote job. So, I mean, she was homeless, but she was working.
Good way to save money.
Well, and I think that might be why she turned down the free housing. She's going to find another free house.
I thought that was hilarious when I saw that.
Yeah, that was good.
What's your favorite word? You use it a lot. And one of my customers that listens to this said, what the hell's he saying? Do you remember what the word?
I have no idea.
You have no idea? Segway.
Oh, like the scooters.
Yeah, no. You used the word Segway. Explain that one. I was going to hold you accountable. You didn't say it yet today, and I was going to point at you and say, that's the damn word, Noah. Explain it.
Well, segue is a transition. So we make a lot of different segues in the show, and we try to make it smooth from section to section. I try to feed you like a little verbal softball so you can hit it out of the park, or I take something that you've said and I try to smoothly transition that into our next topic. So that's a segue. Like when we're shifting from our introduction to the news or from the news into our main topic. And then today we had a rough segue because I let you do the intro into the 3 E's. So I said, should we move to 3 E's?
Okay, because I had to look the damn word up, and I said to the kid, I said, well, this is what it means. It's a transition into. He said, oh, I said, that must be legal speak. I don't know. I had to laugh at that.
Maybe if we keep this up and that's one of our top questions is what do Noah mean? Maybe we should add a vocabulary section to the podcast.
Oh, God. All right, let's move on to card shop characters.
All right, let's do it.
We used to do a game called Raw Deal, and it was a wrestling-based game. And it went pretty well. It was about at least 10 or 12 years ago. And I remember a guy by the name of Jay. Jay came from, I think, the Greensboro area or something
Okay.
like that. So he traveled a pretty good distance to get here. And he was a nice guy. He used to come with a friend of his. And every time Jay would lose, he would get angry. He would just throw up his hands and F this and F that. And, he was mad at himself. Okay. I remember, this is kind of funny. The store that I was at the other side over there, every time it rained, there was a little bit of a stream that came behind the store. So Jay went out, at the front of the door, and he just threw all his cards into the air, not realizing that the stream was right behind him, and all of his cards got wet. Oh yeah, all of it. That made him even madder. But that was kind of funny. I mean, I don't know if he learned his lesson. I think he came back once or twice after that, and I hadn't seen him since. And then there was another guy, and this guy named Matt. He believed that wrestling was real. And he was convinced that it was real. The blood and everything that he saw on TV was real. And he might still do that. But he was a good guy. He was a good kid. But he was nicknamed for some reason Budweiser. And he brought in his little brother, and that's the one that was pissing off the porch that time. And his little brother's name was Matt, and he was nicknamed Bud Light. And it was kind of funny. They came from a rough upbringing, and I can understand it, but it was funny. Wrestling.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. People do need to understand it's not that wrestling's physical feats and action are fake. It's that it's scripted.
Yeah.
They actually are good athletes, and they do all that stuff.
They go to school to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. Well, let's put it, not a lot of people, but some people are taken back by it.
I don't know. A good friend of mine just went, they had an event in North Carolina. My buddy just drove out and watched it live. I mean, I was shocked.
I remember my father took me to a wrestling match when I was a kid, and the wrestler was Carl von Hess, and he was the bad guy. And I forgot who the good guy was. I don't know, Ricky something or other. But he took Carl von Hess and he beat his head into the bottom part of the ring that, where the lines connect, and he came out bloody. And I said, my father, man, he's bleeding like crazy. And my father looked at me and smiled. He said, that's fake. I said, what do you mean it's fake? He said, they have little capsules and they slap it on their head or slap it on their arm, and it's blood capsules. And I didn't believe him. I thought it was, of course, I was a young kid at the time, but Carl von Hess got his ass whooped that night, something fierce. And then the next time he was on TV, he didn't have a scar on his head. So
no damage.
No damage at all.
He rolled a natural D20 on his defense roll.
You got it. No.
Or his recovery roll.
You got it.
All right, John. Well, I think that's going to bring us towards the end today. Do you have any thoughts before we go to our call to action?
No, we're good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week on Card Shop Insiders. We're so grateful for your support and listening. If you like the show, please subscribe and follow us on all the different platforms. The podcast can now be found on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. You can follow us on social media at Card Shop Insider, on Instagram and X, or Twitter, if you still call it Twitter. If you want to interact with the show or have questions you would like to see covered in future episodes, please head over to the YouTube channel and share a comment on the latest episode. And finally, if you are able, willing, and interested in contributing to the show financially, you can join up on Patreon, where our basic tier subscription will soon include show notes, stickers, and more. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week for more from Behind the Counter.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.